Rain pelted the cracked windows of the roadside diner, the kind of place where truckers stopped for cheap coffee and long-haul silence. Inside, the night was quiet, just the hum of the neon opened sign and the clink of ceramic mugs. Sarah wiped down the counter, her heart heavy but her face calm, the way it always was since she learned to hide emotions behind a practiced smile. Life had never been kind to her, but she carried herself with quiet strength. That night, everything changed. The bell above the door jingled as a tall man stepped in, soaked from the rain. His leather jacket was patched with symbols Sarah recognized from stories, Hell's Angels, the kind of men her mother used to warn her about. But his face told a different story. He looked tired, worn, carrying a heaviness no patch could explain. He ordered black coffee, his voice low, almost respectful. Sarah nodded, poured the coffee, and slid it over without judgment. Minutes later, 2 police officers stormed inside, boots heavy on the tile. Their eyes locked onto him. "There he is," one barked. "Stand up, hands where I can see them." The biker froze, his jaw tightening. He didn't move toward them, didn't resist, just sat there like a man who'd been through this before. Sarah noticed his hands weren't near a weapon. She noticed his eyes flicker with something more human than dangerous: exhaustion. One officer grabbed his arm roughly. Sarah's instinct flared. "Hey," she called out, surprising even herself. "He hasn't done anything wrong. He came in, ordered coffee, and sat down, that's it." The officers shot her a look, the kind that could silence most people. But Sarah didn't back down. "If you're going to accuse him of something, you better have proof. This is my diner, and you don't get to rough up paying customers." The biker's head lifted slowly, his eyes meeting hers in disbelief. No one had defended him like that, not in years. The officers huffed, muttered about keeping an eye, and left with thinly veiled threats. Silence settled again, broken only by the biker's quiet words. "Why'd you do that?" he asked, voice hoarse. Sarah shrugged, wiping the counter again. "Didn't look like you deserved it. Everyone deserves a fair chance." For the first time that night, the biker smiled. A small, genuine thing that made him look less like a threat and more like a man who'd seen too much. He finished his coffee, left a generous tip, and disappeared into the rain. Sarah thought she'd never see him again. But the next morning, when the diner opened, she realized just how wrong she was. The rumble started in the distance, low, steady, like thunder rolling over the hills. It grew louder, closer, until the ground itself seemed to vibrate. Sarah stepped outside, her heart skipping, and then she saw them. One by one, motorcycles lined the road, chrome flashing in the sun. Dozens, then more. By the time the engines cut off, over 200 bikers stood outside her little diner, all wearing the same patches. Her breath caught. For a moment, fear clawed at her. Had she just brought trouble to her doorstep? Then the man from last night walked forward. He looked cleaner, steadier, but still carried that rugged weight in his shoulders. He nodded at her with respect. "This is the lady I told you about," he said, his voice carrying over the crowd. "She stood up for me when she didn't have to, treated me like a person. That kind of courage deserves respect." The bikers cheered, not rowdy but solid, like a vow. Sarah's diner, usually half empty, was filled that morning with leather jackets, laughter, and the smell of sizzling bacon. They ate, they paid. Every single one of them left generous tips. The diner, for once, was alive with warmth. But it wasn't just the money or the sudden surge of business. It was the way they looked at her, not as a waitress, not as a stranger, but as someone who had broken through the world's assumptions and chosen humanity over fear. One old biker leaned over before leaving and said, "People judge us by what we wear, but you looked past all that. That takes guts. Don't ever lose that." That night, after the last motorcycle rode off into the distance, Sarah sat in the now-quiet diner. The neon hum returned, but something inside her had changed. For years she had lived small, never standing out, never speaking up. Life had taught her to keep her head down. But in defending a man everyone else was ready to condemn, she discovered her voice and the power it carried. Sarah realized courage doesn't always look like grand gestures. Sometimes it's a tired waitress standing up in a small-town diner, reminding the world that dignity belongs to everyone. And though the bikers may never return in such numbers again, the memory of that day remained, proof that kindness, even in its simplest form, could echo louder than thunder. Because when she chose to see the man, not the patch on his jacket, she didn't just change his day. She changed her own life forever.